You are listening to an entertainment program put together by a company called Financial Ineptitude. Anything said on this show is not an endorsement or professional advice. Would you really want to tell a court of law you were suing us because you thought taking financial advice from two idiots on a podcast put out by Financial Ineptitude was a good idea? Really? Clown hat, smiley face.
Ooh, hello and welcome to the China Shop, you lovely bulls. This is a special emergency broadcast system bulletin. We've got mania, madness, mayhem going on. With you as always, I'm your shopkeeper, Dan, and here's Kyle. How are you doing, Kyle?
I'm fired up, buddy. I'm fired up.
Oh, yeah. So, why are we having a special emergency episode, Kyle?
If you've been paying any attention to GameStop, then you know what's going on. But there's a lot of people who don't quite understand it, and we want to take a little bit of time here to kind of go over the details of what exactly is happening and what exactly people are looking for.
This is such a big deal, Kyle. My coworkers who don't follow the market whatsoever have heard about something involving GameStop and short selling.
My daughter just came in this morning or this afternoon after work and had coworkers looking at it too, you know, like millennials that, you know, my day, that age, and had nothing to do with investing or any cares in the world about fucking stock market stuff. So, yeah, this is transcendent news. This is history in the making.
Yeah, this one's going in the books. So we wanted to get a jump on it and talk a little bit about where it came from, what it is, and where it's going.
All right, so where do we start?
Well, Kyle, I think we need to start with the setup. GameStop, a retail company, with their stock trading between $6 and we'll say $13, $14.
Actually, I think it goes back a little bit further than that. It was down at like $3 at a certain point. Basically, a group called Melvin Capital came up with a report internally after looking at all the fundamentals and decided that this company didn't
have what it takes to survive.
Yeah, exactly. They saw basically a company that was headed for bankruptcy, and they decided to short the living hell out of it. They took the stock from the 20s down to like $3. And when it was running at $3, they took out even larger short positions, and basically the stock got to the point where there was more shares shorted than there were available to purchase.
A dangerous position.
Yes. At this point, some people in the Reddit community and Wall Street Bets had noticed what was going on and put together a bullish case for, GameStop and why they deserve a second chance. And they started putting money into it, buying a lot of calls and a lot of stock, and then telling everybody else in their forum about what they saw and why they liked it. And the stock started picking up a little bit of momentum. This took a bit of time. I mean, I think we talked about it, back in, what was that, October? I think one of our very first, that was our first side bet, right? Yeah, that was our first side bet we ever did. You thought there was going to be a short squeeze on it because we were looking at the short interest on it. It was 136% at that point.
Yeah, and I thought to myself, how can this not shoot up?
I think I didn't quite believe you as well as I should have.
Yeah. Well, I should have backed that up with a long-term bet on some calls. I'd be sitting pretty.
If you remember, we thought about buying it after the earnings drop because we both were thinking that the PS2 sale or the new PlayStation sales would be causing it to bump up in the next earnings cycle and try to get some at a discount. And we were actually watching it for the next couple of weeks and saw it rising.
Yeah.
But things kind of came to a head within the last, month or so. I think last week it was in the 40s, and then it just really took off Monday, and it's just been on its way to the moon right now. So the two major players that were kind of involved with this are the ones that are getting the most headlines are Wall Street Bets, who are the longs, and Melvin Capital, who is the main short. But basically that's representative of all the major hedge funds that are shorting the shit out of this stock.
Yeah.
And Reddit has been getting a lot of shit, and undeservedly so. They found a loophole in the system or not even a loophole. They just found a scenario that shouldn't be allowed to exist. And these are the fucking rules that the hedge companies themselves wrote.
Yeah.
And Reddit is beating them at their own game, and now these hedge funds are getting pissed off. Melvin Capital just got a $2.8 billion infusion of capital from another hedge fund after losing, I think they've lost 30% so far.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we're talking billions of dollars that this company's had wiped out of existence, all because of the fucking greed of trying to take a company from $3 to zero.
Real quick, I want to point out, all of their losses have just shifted to other people's hands. That money didn't disappear. Their losses are now represented in those GameStop gains.
Oh, yes. This is basically wealth distribution. That's what kind of makes it so fun that they're trading on Robinhood.
Yeah, right?
Not lost on many people.
Oh, wow. What a fun time to be alive and trading.
So, I mean, there's a whole lot to get into, but let's just go ahead and start with some of the basics here. And I think we probably should explain what a short sale is, first of all.
Yeah. Okay, so real quick, a short sale, if I'm betting against the stock and I think GameStop is going down, I short sell 10 shares. Well, in order to do that, what I do is the day that I place the trade, I borrow shares from somebody else and sell them for the price it's at today. And then I'm betting in the future, a certain amount of time goes by, I can buy those shares back at a lower price to give them back to the person I borrowed them from.
And when you make that sale, you are getting cash up front, basically on margin, from the brokerage. And that's something that you have to pay back at some point.
Yes.
If that share price starts skyrocketing like it's doing right now, if you wait too long, eventually you're going to get a margin call, and it's going to force you to pay that out.
Yeah, at whatever price the stock's at.
So we're in a very unique scenario right now where there's more shares shorted than there really are available to actually purchase and cover them all at once.
Yes.
And Reddit figured this out. And if you read through their forums, it's fucking diamond hands and hold it till the moon and don't give anything back. This is for fucking 2008.
Right. This is a revenge against big money institutions by the little guys. I love it. Underdog story.
You can blame CNBC for kind of pushing that narrative too. It's fucking crazy how they're trying to paint Wall Street Bets as the bad guys here.
Yeah.
What the fuck do you mean they're the bad guys?
Yeah, right. Those evil investors all found a good reason to buy a stock, and they all bought it, and they're not selling it? The nerve of them. The nerve, I say.
I was trying to figure out a comparable analogy to use, and the best I can come up with is, remember back in like the Obama administration days when they first took office and you couldn't buy ammo? 22 ammo was like through the roof expensive.
Oh, right.
There just wasn't any available.
Nobody was selling, everybody was buying.
Like a brick of 22 ammo would cost normally $12 a box, and you go to a gun show during these days and it wasn't uncommon to see people paying $250 to $300 for that same box of ammo.
Oh, wow.
And that's kind of the scenario that they're going for right now. They figured out if they don't sell their shares, if they set extreme sell limits in their brokerage accounts, that eventually somebody's going to have to pay that.
Yeah. Has there been any kind of organized calls to rally around a number?
No, because they're not in an organization.
Well, what I mean is on the Reddit thread, are any users pushing specific numbers that other people are agreeing with?
It's been a moving target. As I think before, when this was starting, they were pushing 200 and then 400, and now 1,000. Now even more than that. People are pushing 4,000, 10,000.
Wow. And here's the crazy thing. Because of the setup, if they all decide to hold, if everybody decides to hold their shares, it will get that high.
Yep.
It just will.
This has happened before, too.
Oh, with this stock or with another stock?
Volkswagen in 2008. It briefly became the most expensive company on the planet. It surpassed ExxonMobil as, something like $500 billion net worth or market capitalization.
Oh, wow.
Stock went from 200 to over 1,000 before crashing back down.
Wow.
And that's kind of the magic scenario that they're aiming for right here. That's the infinity squeeze, they call it, where there is no shares available. You are buying whatever somebody says you're buying it at.
Right. But I believe their setup was a little different because Porsche was trying to buy them. Is that correct?
It's kind of interesting if you read a little bit through the history of that. Porsche actually put out a letter alerting people because they realized that, like, the percent float, shares sorted to percent float didn't look all that high. But if you actually looked at what the outstanding share availability was, there wasn't much. And Porsche was planning on buying up a large block of that. And what they did was they put out a notice when they put that buy in, or when they're planning on buying it, saying like, hey, we're going to do this. You should cover your short positions because, this could create a bad scenario. Well, that letter was actually what instigated the squeeze. Like, you should have plenty of time to cover these now. And everybody tried to do it at once, and it just went through the fucking moon.
Whew. Wow. Okay, so back to GameStop and where we're at today.
The interesting thing from what I can see is that short interest is still going up. Melvin Capital, from reports from CNBC, have actually closed out their positions. I think Citron, they said too. It's only CNBC reporting this, by the way, so it's not even, I don't even know if it's necessarily confirmed that they have actually closed out their positions.
Right.
There's some really fucked up mind games going on with the stock right now between these market movers and Reddit. The short interest is continuing to rise. There's still a lot of short interest. We're not in the squeeze yet, I don't think. And there's 2 squeezes.
Before you get into that, I just like to point out the really crazy thing about the short squeeze and what we're seeing here is, let's face it, there will be a time when the bubble bursts and the price goes down. If you're the one that manages to short it at the top, you make a ton of money. So as it goes up, it's attractive to short sellers. It's amazing. Right. It's this amazing anomaly in stock trading, and I'm glad we're all here for the ride. Now, Kyle, tell us, what are the 2 types of squeezes? Okay, so there's the gamma squeeze, which is what happens when all of the outstanding in-the-money contracts exercise. Option contract. That's what we saw, yes. That's what we saw Monday this week, was basically a gamma squeeze on this stock. There's another one coming up this Friday. If you look at the open interest, you can pull it up on your trading app, go look through all of the calls that are in the money, see how many of them are out there. Every single one that you see of open interest, every one of those multiplied by 100, that's how many shares are coming due. Shares that have to be bought and transferred hands to people holding those contracts. Right. That's going to drive the price up like crazy. That in turn is going to cause margin calls. It's going to cause stop losses from all these other short sellers when that stock price starts rising. So you've got a gamma squeeze that's coming up, and then you still have the short squeeze that's going to happen at some point, and we still don't know when that's going to happen. But there's still a ton of short interest out there, and there's still a lot of people holding on with fucking, diamond hands, I think is the term they keep using. Yeah. It's almost turned into a holy war at this point, too, if you read through these forum comments. There's people on there that are millionaires right now, with the share price right now, and they're not selling. At this point, it's all about sticking it to these hedge funds and making them fucking bleed. I know I got a text and immediately bought, Robinhood does the fractional shares, and I immediately just took whatever cash I had on hand and put it in GameStop just to lock up a share. Yeah, I bought my shares too. Yeah, I got a share. I got one share on Ameritrade, and with just the spare cash I had lying around when it was at 140, and I'm kicking myself for not selling out of other positions and locking in more shares. I still got time if you believe the community. I mean, there's a date that keeps getting thrown around as Friday being the day they think this is going to happen, and that's not true at all. It's going to happen when it happens, and you just need to be watching it, waiting for it. And this is not the only stock that is in a similar position right now. There are several going on. Yeah, Virgin Galactic, Bed Bath & Beyond, Nokia, BlackBerry. KOS Incorporated, KOSS, Express Incorporated, EXPR, iRobot, IRBT. AMC. AMC is the one that's getting a lot of movement and traction. Oh my God, there's almost a billion. There's over 1 billion share volume today. I've never seen that before. Yeah. AMC's getting traded like crazy. Another thing I wanted to point out is if I actually sold out of all my ETFs today because they were all dropping, and I didn't have the research on hand. But my thought process this morning was, I can move these into options right now. I'm making some pretty good moves in options. It'll be fine. But apparently, because hedge funds are starting to move out of their short positions and buy those shares back, they have to sell their other holdings to pay off that money. And we're seeing, I'm looking at a list here of popular hedge fund holdings that have been dropping. Caesars is down almost 14%. Expedia as well. Uber, just over 12. Pinterest, just over 12. Carvana, almost 12. Booking.com and SEA, about 11. Peloton, about 11. Micron, almost 10. Fiserv, 6%. And the S&P is down almost 2%. So this is echoing through the market. This is having a larger effect than just the price of GameStop.
Oh yeah, no kidding. It's affecting everything at this point.
Yeah.
Kind of the reason why we figured we should throw this together for all those people out there who hear everyone talking about it but don't quite understand what's going on. Try to give you as much information as we can.
Absolutely, because that's what we're here for.
I think we covered most of it, but before we go, I want to talk a little bit about the mindset, too, of these traders. You listened to the Chatham interview, right? I don't know if I'm saying that name right. So he tweeted, not yesterday, the day before, was it Monday morning, I think? It was either Monday or Tuesday. He tweeted that he was buying $115 calls, like he put like 100,000 in there or something. And then he went on CNBC the next day, which was Wednesday, and talked to the CNBC host, and man, he fucking owned that guy too. But that CNBC anchor was exactly the reason. I mean, he was the exact type that got me so fired up, was that fake, condescending, these little guys need to be protected. They don't know what they're doing. They're unsophisticated traders. Like who... The GameStop can't possibly have this valuation. Well, guess what? It's a free market.
Right, exactly.
It has that valuation because they own it. They know what they're doing.
Nobody cast a magic spell. Nobody hacked the NYSE. This was done by their rules.
No, not even that. No, they think that this is just a bunch of fucking babies playing with matches, is what they think. And they think they need to protect us from it. No, you don't. We know what we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
The answer is not to start regulating us even more than you already do.
You know what this reminds me of, Kyle? This reminds me of someone counting cards in their head at a casino to give themselves an edge, and the casino saying, "You can't win at blackjack by counting cards. Get out of here. How dare you use math and numbers to improve your statistical probabilities."
Yep. Oh, what this reminds me of is when I tried to invest in a video game that I believed strongly in the company and the prospect, and I went to go try to put, buy a $10,000 or $20,000 block with getting actual returns from it, that I couldn't do it because I was not an accredited investor.
Yeah.
So apparently, in order to invest in certain things, you have to have $1 million of net worth in order to actually be able to put hard-earned money to work. There's a whole world of exclusivity that we can't access as the everyday person. And guess what? Reddit's getting sick of that. They're just the manifestation of that. The little guy is sick of having these rules and the system being gamed against them.
Exactly.
Being written by the people at the top, trying to protect the little guy, are all under that guise, but in reality, they're just trying to protect their margins and keep everything exclusive to themselves. You know what? Fuck that.
Yeah.
Today's the day that ends.
It's our turn.
And that's what's going on right now.
Oh, yeah.
So at this point right now, there's millionaires in Reddit that are not selling, and they're not selling because they don't care about the fucking money at this point. They care about sticking it to these hedge funds and market movers and kicking them in the balls as hard as they can, saying, guess what, we're not going to take it anymore.
Right. It's not about what they're gaining. It's about how much hurt they're causing. I'm all for it.
These are the people that sat and watched in 2008 when everybody, everybody in charge wrecked the system and got billions of dollars of bailouts from the fucking government. And guess who pays that? We do.
Us! We do! We bailed them out.
Meanwhile, grandpa's retirement portfolio loses a third of its value and he can't retire and has to go back to work for another 10 years, who the fuck helped him?
Right.
And they talk about wanting to protect us. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. So if you're listening, we're not allowed to give advice because this is an entertainment show. But I know what I'm doing, and that's buying some GME and holding to stick it to the fucking man.
Yep, I'm setting my fucking sell limits at astronomical prices. They want it, they can come pry it from my diamond hands.
Right? And look, even if it's just one share, buy. Like I did in my Ameritrade account, I bought it and I'm holding it just to lock up one share. You know what? I wish I had more cash on hand to have locked up more, and I might lock up more tomorrow. But you know what? The point is, I don't plan on selling these for profit. I plan on holding them to see how much pain can happen, because personally, I'm along for the ride. I've got popcorn. I'm sitting back. I'm watching. I'm like, I'm loving the show. Oh, I can do something to make the show last longer? Yes, please. Let me do that. Count me in.
I'll do my part. I'll add my name to the footnote in history. This is going to be in economic textbooks here next year.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. It's so fun.
And man, like we kind of touched on it a second ago with the mind games that are going on. I forgot to really kind of dive into that. So TD Ameritrade, Robinhood, a lot of these free brokerages that people use. One of the ways they make their money is by selling all of your data over to the hedge funds and places that they partner with in order to buy their shares.
Yes.
That means that if you set a stop limit, like a stop loss protection, guess who has that? The same people that are trying to drive the price down so they can cover their shorts. So that's where the fuckery kind of starts, right? One, they're getting all this information from your brokerage account, and then they're using that information and then setting up short ladder positions and trying to drive the price sequentially down by flooding the market with short sales temporarily, because somebody has to buy those eventually. They only have so many bullets in the chamber to try these tactics.
Yeah.
And trying to trigger those stop losses and get your shares to sell out so that way they can cover some of their losses.
Right.
The most latest one that just happened is the most fucked up, in my opinion. It looks like the Reddit servers went down because they were basically just spammed with bots. It just fucking flooded the thing with traffic so bad that the servers shut down. They had to take the server private in order to try to weed through it and get it back up and going. And while this was going on, another one of those sell attacks happened and tanked the stock down to about 220 before it finally rebounded and people figured out what the hell was going on. But it's right back up at 300. And like that to me feels like the last act of desperation.
Stuff is so freaky right now, and they're terrified because their levers of control aren't working. And
right.
And here's the thing about my data. I know that it's a commodity. Something like Facebook. Facebook, people don't think of it as an actual exchange, but there's an exchange going on. You're paying for Facebook with your data. And what Facebook is giving you is their Facebook experience. Okay, last year I decided I was no longer wanting to make that exchange, so I pulled back from Facebook. Recently I found out that Plaid, the company behind things like Venmo and other like online pay stuff, you link your bank account and you can transfer money real easy. Yay, it's great, it's easy, it's fun, whatever. They sell your data. They sell your bank account data. They sell all your money transactions. They keep track of it, and they sell that data to market to you. And when I found that out, I sat down with Jen and we talked about it. And I actually made the decision, you know what? I don't want to stop using Venmo. I like that convenience. And frankly, targeted ads, I prefer them. I would prefer ads to show me things I actually want than ads because sometimes I'm shown ads for like old man prostate pills or something, and it's just irrelevant. I'm like, why are you showing me this? I don't need this. So I prefer targeted ads. I want you to show me the latest audio tech gadget. Please do. But if they're compiling and selling my stock data, now specifically my stop limits, in order to give that to a hedge fund to manipulate the price where I lose money,
Allegedly.
I'm not okay with that. Allegedly. We don't know if that's the case for sure. But if that is the case, I'm not okay with that. Now,
It certainly looks like it.
I would rather pay a monthly fee.
If you're watching in Webull, you can see the sell walls. You can see where the volume walls are staggered at, and you can see them happen in real time if you're following along as closely as I have been.
Really?
You can't tell who's placing those orders, but you can see them.
Fuck. Right, because if you're a hedge fund and you have access to all that data, you've got an edge on the game. You know what everybody's, just by looking at where people put their stop loss limits, you know the sentiment, the entire market sentiment. You know how everybody's feeling. You know where they're scared and where they're terrified. Valuable data.
And you know where you can drive that price to in order to trigger some losses that'll exacerbate and exponentially trigger more.
Right? There was an article last year about a group of 4 men who hacked an AP reporter, someone who wrote for the Associated Press. They hacked their credentials. They were able to get into their account and see the news before it was released. They used that news for insider trading. They used it to trade stocks. And they're all in prison now.
Good.
Okay? Yeah, right? Good. And that's how I feel. That's the exact same penalty I feel we should put on any hedge fund who's using insider data to manipulate stock prices.
And they all are. They all are. And I'll give you a case in point, Nerd. I saw, this was an article that came out years ago about a firm in Chicago that got busted for insider trading. And you know how they busted them?
No.
They made a purchase on a stock whose earnings reports had just come out, and they had placed it at like 9 o'clock exactly, or whatever the time was that report was scheduled to be released. It's like to the exact millisecond. The problem was the report was being released in New York and they were in Chicago, and because of the speed of light delay, they were actually off by a microsecond or two.
Oh.
And so based on that technicality, they were able to say, oh, nope, you put this order in before this was publicly available. You know what?
Wow.
That's not how that works. Basically, they're getting this information before anybody else does, and they're just not allowed to act on it until it gets released to the public. That's why when you see an earnings report come out, you see the price jump before you even have a chance to read the headline.
Yeah,
You can't tell me that they're not getting insider information, and that's not fucking cards stacked against us.
Stacked against the retail investor who doesn't work in a professional firm that hears and is privy to all of the professional information. Meh.
But the hedge funds, the rules that they wrote, Reddit broke them down, and they found a way to attack it, and they found a way to make some money on it. And now people are pissed at them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not. I'm cheering them on, and I'm doing my part.
I love Star Wars. I'm all about the rebellion.
Fuck that empire.
No, that's kind of what this is. That's what this is starting to feel like. The behemoth of a government entity against a few holdouts that are just holding on for dear life, waiting for reinforcements. When that Elon Musk tweet came out, it really felt like, what was that, Braveheart, when the Irishmen show up to help turn the tide of the battle, and they're waiting. They don't know if they're going to get any reinforcements.
Right?
When Chatham made his tweet earlier in the day about making that purchase and drove the stock price up, it really felt like pushing the enemy back over the ramparts and living to fight another day.
Oh man, it certainly is an interesting time. That's for sure. All right, folks, thanks for joining us today for this special GameStop Empire Strikes Back edition of Two Bulls in a China Shop. You know we love it when you join us, and we also love it when you reach out to us on any of the social medias. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter. We got the Discord going. We're all over the place. Hit us up with an email, twobulls@financialineptitude.com, or maybe a phone call, 725-22-BULLS. Let us know if you managed to pick up any GameStop. Let us know what your price target is. We'd love to know.
Be on the right side of history, folks.
As always, happy trades.
And then for anybody who wants to see that Chatham interview, we're going to put a link in the episode description, so you can go ahead and look at it. It's about a 40-minute watch, and I highly encourage everybody to go through and listen to that because it's fascinating.
We'll see you next time.
Mr. Squeeze.
Two Bulls in a China Shop is an entertainment program, and all thoughts and opinions expressed in the show belong to the hosts and not of any company. They are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide entertainment about stocks and the financial industry of trading. If you make trades based on what you hear in this show, you assume all risks for those trades.